Today, we're diving into a really fundamental shift in how we think about our digital tools. It really boils down to the difference between just renting a service and actually owning the infrastructure that powers your life. And that idea, that's the core of what we're calling AI sovereignty.
And it all kicks off with this one simple question. Is your intelligence, the digital systems that help you think and create and get things done, is that something you just rent from a big company, or is it something you truly own?
To even begin to answer that, we've got to understand two totally different ways of operating. First, you have the centralized model. That's what most of us are used to, where the big institutions are in charge. But then there's this decentralized model that's popping up. And in this world, users, people like you and me, are the ones in control, building our own systems from the ground up.
Now, to really get a handle on this, we're actually going to start in a world that might feel a little more familiar: finance. We're going to use this idea of self-banking to build a really powerful analogy for what's happening with AI right now.
Think about it this way. In a traditional bank, your money is kind of trapped inside their products, right? And they're the ones who control your access to it. Well, self-banking, which is powered by decentralized finance, completely flips that script. In that world, your money lives inside systems that you control. Access is just based on connecting to the network and having your own wallet.
And if you look at traditional financial products, they're all designed for simplicity, sure, but also for restriction. A savings account, it's just storage. You have very little control. A CD literally pays you to be passive, to give up access to your own money. And even something like a money market fund, that's just packaged exposure. You're a customer, not an operator.
This quote right here just captures the difference so perfectly. One model sells you a finished, closed product. The other, well, it gives you the raw building blocks, the primitives, so you can create your own financial systems. It's a huge shift from just being a consumer to becoming an architect.
And this really shows you the power of those building blocks. So take smart collateral, for instance. In this new model, your assets aren't just sitting there as dead weight backing a loan. No way. They become active parts of the system, making your capital way more efficient and giving you a ton more strategic flexibility.
All right, so let's make the pivot. We're going to take this exact same pattern, this move from being a passive user of products to being an active builder of systems, and we're going to apply it to the world of artificial intelligence.
Now, this should look really familiar to just about everyone. For most of us, AI today is a centralized service. It's running on somebody else's giant servers, it's governed by their rules, and it's optimized for their business priorities. Bottom line, your intelligence is a service that you rent.
But here's the question that changes everything. What if AI wasn't just another service you subscribe to? What if it was infrastructure that you could actually build and own? This is what we call the sovereign model. In this setup, AI runs on your own hardware or on networks that you control. It's configured exactly for you, your family, or your team. It protects your privacy, it keeps your knowledge safe, and it's aligned with your mission. In this world, intelligence goes from being a service you rent to an asset you truly own.
And this brings our whole analogy full circle. The logic is exactly the same. If self-banking is all about freeing your money from the silos of big institutions, then AI sovereignty is all about freeing your intelligence from the silos of big tech platforms.
So, why does all this matter so much? I mean, what's the big deal? Well, let's dig into how this shift actually builds real, tangible power and strategic advantage.
This table just lays out the trade-offs perfectly. Look, the centralized world, it's all about convenience, but that convenience comes with dependence. You're basically just trusting institutions. The decentralized model, on the other hand, gives you sovereignty, but that demands responsibility. You're trusting open systems and, frankly, your own ability to manage them. It's a fundamental choice between having agency and having ease. When you start treating AI as your own infrastructure, it stops being this cool novelty and it becomes a really powerful operational layer in your life. For your personal stuff, it can automate your planning and learning. At work, it can handle all that tedious research and documentation. And for your big mission-driven goals, it becomes the system that organizes all your knowledge and coordinates your most important work.
Okay, so this brings us to the final and most crucial distinction. This whole shift we're talking about, it's not just about getting slightly better tools. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship to those tools.
What you're really building here is what we could call your intelligence stack.
It's your personal, custom collection of tools, models, and workflows that becomes the engine for your thinking and your execution. This is what ownership really looks like. So, the most important point is this. The future is not about just having slightly better apps or more clever chatbots. Honestly, that's thinking way too small. The real future is about owning the fundamental systems, your capital infrastructure and your intelligence infrastructure. It's about taking direct control of the two most important drivers of value in our world today. Let's just boil it all down to its absolute essence. The old model, centralized AI, it gives you access to intelligence. But the new model, local and sovereign AI, that lets you build your own owned intelligence infrastructure. It's access versus ownership. At the end of the day, that is the choice we're all facing. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. As you move forward in this new world, are you going to be content to just keep using someone else's service? Or are you ready to start building your own infrastructure?